With this fight coming a little over 7 years after you fought Phil Davis for the first time, what, if anything, can you take away from that fight to help you in this rematch?
So actually, I consider that we are different fighters, even though you cannot change too much. But I don't wanna consider anything from the last fight, because we are 7 years already past, man. So we are more experienced. We are different fighters right now, and I don't have any sense of revenge. I just want to get there and do my job.
And I'm sure that at this point in your career, you're not even thinking about the past history. You're only focusing on your present day and future performance. So what kind of performance can we expect from you in this fight with Davis?
So I had a great camp, like pretty much 70 weeks of camp, even though I never stopped training. But I'll give my best, man. I'll give my best. I try to find the rhythm of fighting since the beginning, and to give my best, because we all know that Phil Davis is a top opponent, is a former Bellator champion, and it's not like a random fight in front of me. So he's a champion. He's had the mindset of champion. So we're gonna go there and give you a great show for the fans.
You have the mindset of a champion yourself. You've been a champion yourself. So do you see the road ahead of you in Bellator MMA as going for the light heavyweight title against Vadim Nemkov?
Yes, but it's very hard to say something before the fight because, as I said, Phil Davis is in front of me on Friday. But of course, I'm not just fight for fight, man. I fight for being a champion. And Nemkov is a excellent fighter. He has a good skills. But now it's time to think on my next fight.
Amen.
Since you've been in Bellator, you bounce back and forth between light heavyweight and middleweight. This one's going back to light heavyweight. Are you okay? Are you comfortable bouncing back and forth? Do you prefer one weight class over the other?
Oh yeah. That's my purpose here in Bellator, to float in both classes, 185 and 205. Because I already had a lot of fights under my belt in 205 and a couple of fights in 185 as well. So in Bellator, they gave me opportunity to fight in both classes. So that's the purpose.
A lot has been made about the Bellator light heavyweight division, where it's at right now with Vadim Nemkov, Ryan Bader, yourself, Phil Davis, and comparing it to the UFC. And, I know Scott Coker said he believes the Bellator light heavyweight division is the best in the sport. As a guy who was a UFC champion and now you are fighting in Bellator, where do you think the Bellator light heavyweight division stacks up when you compare it to the UFC?
We have seen UFC right now, but you know that UFC, they have the 205 class now, because Jon Jones is out. No, they don't have any contender. The last contender was Dominic. And I see that our category here in Bellator is so warm now. No, everybody wants to see because there's a lot of fighter. And Scott Coker is right, man. The 205 class here in Bellator is very, very hot now.
Does that make you want, you said bouncing back and forth, but does that make you want to maybe stay at light heavyweight for a little longer just because of the challenges? I mean, Phil Davis is the guy in front of you, but we just mentioned Vadim Nemkov. That's a fight possibility. Ryan Bader's the guy you have a win over. I mean, do you feel like there may be more opportunity at light heavyweight right now?
Yeah, since when I signed with Bellator, so I put that in my mind that I could fight in 185 and 205. And now I can see that 205 has more opportunity, more challenges in my career. So I wanna be here for a while, and let's see what's gonna happen in the future, man.
As you mentioned before, you're kind of going in between weight classes from middleweight and light heavyweight, and this fight's obviously at light heavyweight. So I'm wondering, over the years, as such a veteran of the game, has the weight cuts gotten any harder with age, and which weight class feels better for you in the cage?
So I believe that I can fight in 205 and 185, man. I have no problem to cutting weight. Of course, it's not like 205, because 205 I don't need to cut too much weight, but when I drop to 185, I have to cut too much weight, but I have to be more strict with my diet. But I haven't seen any problem on that. So I just want to be here and fight with the best.
And as someone who was constantly in the main event scene in the UFC, this is I believe, your first Bellator main event. So I'm wondering, does it feel a little bit more comfortable for you now that you're back in the main event limelight?
To be honest, I don't think like that, because once I think too much about that, I'm gonna put pressure on my back. I don't want to put pressure on my back. Main event is a main event as a first fight. Like fight is a fight. You have to be there and fight. We have more hype when you have a main event in your back. But I try to not think about that. I try just to give my best and enjoy the fight and stay with my fans and enjoy that.
You consider you and Phil Davis both basically completely different fighters from 2013 to now. But what part of your game would you say has evolved the most between now and then?
Everybody knows that karate is my background. And by once you are a martial artist, you never stop learning. So you're always evolving. If you keep training, you're going to evolve, like little by little, you're going to evolve. So as an MMA fighter, I try to evolve in different aspects, not only in karate, which is my main tool, but also in wrestling and jiu-jitsu to add something different, to put something different. But my main tool is a karate, stand-up game, and also I try to improve this game because I like the strike games.
It seems like cross-promotion call-outs right now are kind of what's hot in the streets. So I just wanted to ask you if you could make one fight between you and any opponent on, a part of any promotion, UFC, Bellator, PFL, whatever it was, do you know who that would be?
I just said that I never had any sense of revenge. And so who I already fought, but somebody that I didn't fight yet that I would like to fight, it's hard, man, because in my mind, I always think about the moment that I'm fighting. Of course, I've seen a lot of different fighters in UFC, in Bellator, and actually, it's hard to answer this question, man. It's hard to answer. I never stop to think about it, I appreciate so many different fighters. I like to see McGregor's fighter. I like to see fighting. I like to see Khabib. I like to see Anderson's fight. But there is no one that I see as an opponent. I see as a fan as well, and as a martial artist that like to study all the different fighters.
Age 42 now. Is the idea to go on one last run for the title? I know you said you can float back and forth between middleweight and light heavyweight, but is your goal to go for one last shot at the title? Have you thought about how long you'll keep going?
Of course. So I don't have a set time limit in my mind. Of course, there will be one day that I'm going to stop, and the fight for the title is going to be great for me right now because I consider I was born for being a champion, because not being a champion only as a champion in the cage, in the octagon, in the ring, but to be a champion as a person, always to overcome obstacle, overcome a hard situation. And of course, I want to be a champion, but as a 42 years old, I don't have a time limit in my mind. I know, we never know, maybe 1, 2 more years, we never know. So I like to fight, I like to train. The motivation is still on me. That's the most important thing, still in me, yeah.
Whenever we talk about fighters with a karate background who employ the karate stance, we compare them to yourself. We say they fight like Lyoto Machida. What does that mean to you to be kind of the main representative of that background?
I don't want to say I'm proud of myself because I think that's too much. So I think that I just did what I had to do. What I have to do in my career. I did what I have to do, what I have done. Okay, and because karate didn't have any representative, right? And I was the first one, pretty much. But I like when the karate guys come up to me and ask for some advice or ask for a hug, because it's a recognition. When you as a professional, as a person, you have to have the recognition. And that's so important for me. So I'm very proud to be a karate guy and to represent my flag.
Who's the best representative of that style today, do you think?
We have a couple guys. We have Thompson, Wonder Boy. You have, but I consider myself one of the main representatives of karate.
With this fight with Phil, I mean, did you always expect that eventually you guys would cross paths, that you'd run this one back?
Actually, the Bellator just offered me the fight, and I've been said that I don't have any sense of revenge in my career. So I just consider Phil Davis a tough opponent, and I accept everything that Bellator just offered me.
You said, you're willing to dip back and forth between the 185 and 205 pound division. You said time, you don't have a time limit. So do you have in your mind a double champ aspirations, or do you just want to stick to chasing the title in one division?
I want to fight for the belt first. It doesn't matter if it's 185 or 205. If I have a chance to fight for the 185 and 205, that will be great. That will be a dream for me. And I just want to go there and show all my skills to my fans and get this belt in the future. And if I have a chance in 185 as well.
Word on the street is Anderson Silva is going to be coming to fight his last fight soon. You and Anderson almost, are brothers in a way. Growing up together, watching him become a champ and dominating the sport, you going and becoming champ, and almost having a similar career path. How has it been? Do you have any words of, what do you think of his career, and how do you feel?
Anderson Silva has a great career, man. He had a spectacular career, so he's going to go to his last fight. And I think everybody should respect all his legacy, because what he has done for this sport, like just few people did that, and he deserves all the best. Anderson Silva is a legend, man. He's a legend. Nobody stayed too long as a champion as Anderson Silva and fought the way that he fought, man. So he deserves all the best, and I feel like there will be a time that you gotta stop, right? So I just didn't put that in my mind yet, but we never know. I always face every fight as my last fight, because you never know in the future, man. So even a young guy, they never know. I learned that, and I try to practice that. So every time when I fight, I put that can be my last fight, always, because we don't know the future. We don't know anything about it. We don't have this control. Once you don't have this control, I just have to give my best.
Being at 42 years old and, going through the fight camp and, going through this your entire career, has there been any differences in terms of recovery? Like, I should take a day off here and there, or what has been the biggest difference compared to, in your younger days in your career?
Oh, definitely is a big difference. So I have to recover much more than back then, but I can compensate in the other side because my experience in fighting, so I don't need to put too much effort in different aspects of training. Like, for example, I train a lot of condition training, technical training, but if you compare one guy 42 years old with 25 years old, so I have more time in the road than the other guy. So I already practice more punches, more kicks. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I don't have to train, but it means that I already train enough techniques. Of course, I have to adjust all the time and be ready to recover my body during a hard session. That's so important because I cannot push too much. The day of the fights is the day of the fight. So I cannot get confused and think that every training is a fight for me. No, it's a preparation. I have to build my body. I have to build my mind to be ready on the day of the fight. That's completely different. And
do you feel when you don't have a fight scheduled, is that when you're most creative in learning new techniques and learning new things? I often hear that from a lot of fighters. Is that, or when do you look to, integrate more learning methods of fighting into your game?
For sure, man, definitely. So when you don't have any fight coming up, so you can train for free, more free. I mean, you can train today, twice, sometimes, or even 3 times a day, and the other day you can rest, and the next day you can train twice. So that's the time then you become more creative, you become more sensitive, more intuitive, and you can develop different techniques. You can evolve your game in different parts, like in ground game, in stand-up game, in wrestling, because you don't have any pressure ahead of you. When you have a fight, you don't have this time. You just have to train for the fight, to prepare yourself, to improve your conditional, to be ready to the day of the fight.